Hello, this is the SEO 101 talk. So if you want to follow along, I recommend going to like bit.ly or growth.500.co and clicking on the slides. There will be parts where it gets like somewhat technical, where we're going to be looking at like technical implementations of certain SEO things. So if you want to pull it up on your computer, this is where you would go to pull it up. So I'm Bernard. I'm one of the distro hackers in residence at 500 Startups. I am an SEO specialist at my own consulting firm, Mushi Labs. We've worked with high growth startups like DoorDash, Teespring, and BuildZoom, specifically on SEO and how to get them more search presence. So today, what we're going to be covering is what SEO is in 2016, if you should consider SEO, how to set up your SEO accounts, keyword research, on-site content considerations, on-site technical considerations, and off-site hacks. So a whole lot of SEO. So SEO in 2016, it's to say that it's changed a lot, right? SEO in 2000 was about meta keywords, white text on white backgrounds, buying a bunch of links. Going to 2010, we're looking at, okay, how valuable are these links? Are they coming from the New York Times? Is there a certain amount of trust associated with, the New York Times versus an industry publication? And are they linking to you? And then in 2016, we're looking at quality content, machine learning, and links to some degree. So going over the state of SEO in 2016, quality content is keyword co-occurrence, which is basically if I have an article about Tom Brady or say Hillary Clinton, like Bill Clinton should be in there as a keyword, and so does Al Gore, right? These keywords tend to occur together. And if an article mentions Hillary Clinton but doesn't talk about the 2016, presidential elections, then is it actually a quality piece of content, right? Google is looking at the density of how keywords are occurring across multiple different topics and seeing if your content matches that type of content. Site-wide quality is now an important indication of SEO, right? If you have 1 million pages on your website and 99% of those pages are algorithmic, you're creating like some code that's switching out keywords, then the 1% of your site that is quality is going to be discounted because Google is clustering these types of pages together to provide searchers with a better experience. So machine learning is also the new SEO, right? If someone clicks on your search results when searching for a specific query, how long does it take before someone clicks back to the search results, right? Google's measuring that. And how does your result compare in comparison to result number 2 or result number 3, right? If people are going back to the search results, are they finishing their search journey, right? If I'm searching for lunch in San Francisco, I click on Yelp, I go back, and then I search, like doctor's appointment, then that was a successful search journey. But if Yelp provides an experience for someone where they back and then they click on result number 2, then should result number 2 actually be result number 1? And these are the things that Google is taking into consideration. So that's clickstream data, is what happens when they click in, when they come back, what are they Googling? Are they clarifying their search? Lunch in San Francisco, click on result number 1. Is it now Thai restaurants in San Francisco? Or is it something else? So links, they're still important, but Google has been trying to decrease the significance of how links play because tons of people manipulate them, they're easy to game, and that's kind of why Google's trying to figure out how to diversify and move away from links as a ranking factor. So, should you SEO? This is kind of like the question, right? I think you really have to take into consideration some important factors when you're thinking about SEOing, right? Is there actually any search volume for your product, app, or service? If no one's searching, then SEO is a relatively dead channel for you. SEO takes a long time, right? We're talking in startup time, like 3 to 6 months. So if you're pre-product market fit and your idea is going to change, your product is going to change, then investing in SEO could be potentially bad because you put in all this effort. 3 months from now, you're like, well, we're pivoting, right? This isn't working out. Your SEO will not change. And SEO is not guaranteed. So to delve into capturing monthly searches, there's these 4 queries for cats, right? Lots of people search for cats, but no one wants on-demand cat delivery service, right? So So if you're an on-demand cat delivery service, you probably shouldn't invest in SEO. So SEO takes a long time. This is one of my side projects. We began doing SEO like the beginning of April, and you can see that it took about 4 months before we were hitting 1,500 sessions from Google Organic per month, right? That's a pretty long buildup considering your other options of buying Facebook ads or buying AdWords or, investing in other channels. And SEO is not guaranteed, right? You can do it, but that doesn't mean that Google is going to rank you on the top page, number 1, number 2, number 3. It's a long process of looking at tons of different factors, which we're going to cover. So, should you SEO? You should probably only SEO if you're post-product market fit, you know what keywords you'd like to rank for, right? If you're like sitting here thinking, oh, maybe we should think about SEO, then you're probably too early to be thinking about SEO. And if you have competitors who are ranking for things on Google that you want to be ranking for, these are like the considerations you should have before delving into SEO. So how to set up your SEO accounts. Mainly, there's 3 distinct tools that are relevant in today's SEO. The first is Google Search Console. Basically, this is Google's way of telling you what's happening with search and SEO on your site. The second is Google My Business, and the third is Bing Webmaster Tools, because Bing is still a relevant search engine. So why Search Console? Everyone usually has Google Analytics, but that's the tip of the iceberg when it comes to SEO, right? You generally only know about how much traffic you're getting from Google Organic. Search Console opens up your SEO, right? What's happening with your DNS? What are the exact search queries you're getting? Are you submitting sitemaps? What percentage of those sitemaps are getting indexed? Are you having crawl errors? So to set up your SEO, you add your website or Android app onto Search Console because now Google is experimenting with app indexing. Then you want to add all of the variations of your website into Search Console. So if you're running an HTTPS, these are treated as separate properties than HTTP. And same with www. Versus not having www. If you have a blog, you should also add that to your Search Console and make sure you have a robust list because you can indicate in Search Console how you want your URLs to be displayed, right? Do you actually use the www or do you not use the www? This is important because Google will take that and try to show the user the preferred domain on your website. So valid sitemaps are another reason why Search Console is important. You can add your sitemap, which is basically a .xml file, into Google Search Console, and it will tell you of the web pages that you've submitted, how many of them they've indexed. And this is an indication of content quality, right? So in this example, we have 7,200 submitted URLs, but Google is only indexing about 1,500 of them, or like 20%, right? So that's bad. You want this so that Google will tell you, okay, like 100% of your site is indexed. I like the content on your site. In this, not really. So when it comes to sitemaps, basically you want to include all of the URLs in your sitemap that are unique, that return a status code 200, which is basically okay. They aren't canonicalized to other different URLs, and they aren't no-indexed in your robots.txt. So Bing heavily depends on your sitemap to crawl your website. So if you don't have a sitemap on your web property, then Bing is probably struggling to crawl your website. So robots.txt is also in Search Console. This is where you basically point the bots as to what is allowed and what is not allowed. So this is the example that I would use, is that for all user agents or user agent star, that you disallow the things that you don't want bots to crawl. This is generally your more private data, like things that could have, your users in them, and you allow what you want them to crawl, and then you point to where your sitemap is. So when bots come, they can go and be like, okay, that's where the sitemap is. That's where I can go to crawl all of the URLs on your sitemap. So another cool thing in Search Console is Fetch as Google, which is in the crawl section. So if you're heavily using the newest JavaScript like React or Angular, it's possible that Google is not viewing the content because they're not able to crawl this new type of JavaScript. So with Fetch as Google, you can see if Googlebot is actually viewing the resources on your page, how you expect them to be viewing it. So another interesting thing about Fetch as Google is that there's this little submit to index. So anytime you make a significant update to your website, that does not mean that Google is going to go and crawl that page today or tomorrow, right? It could be a week from now, it could be a month from now. But with Fetch as Google and submit to index, you can make sure that if you update your content, you can get Google to crawl this URL and its direct links immediately, right? So if it's an important change that you've made, you force Google to crawl your content today, right now. Yes? Yeah, so they used to limit you, I'm not sure if they do anymore, to 10 of these submit to indexes per month. So it's not a thing that you would want to use a lot, but if you're making a significant update to a very important page, then you should do it. No. Well, you could if it's a very important blog post, right? You're like pushing an update to that. So Google My Business. It's pretty easy to sign up and register. And the reason why this affects your SEO is because it shows up in the search results, right? So if I'm searching for Powbox, I'm going to get, oh, no. You have it good. It's just I was calling out reviews here. So these will show up in the search results when you search for your company name. And they only show up if you have a Google My Business account, right? You can say what times we're open, what our phone number is, and they give you an ability to review. So it looks better when you get your friends or your family to review your Google My Business, because that does affect your company branded queries. So I bring up Bing Webmaster Tools because Bing gives you better tooling and reporting for SEO. They'll cover more of the crawl errors and give you more data to work with than Search Console will when it comes to SEO. Yes? So the question was, is the search demographic different for Bing users? And the answer is yes, right? Bing users are typically Microsoft users. They're typically older. So thinking about that when it comes to Bing is a good way to think about these things. So before moving on to keyword research, any more questions about accounts? So the question is there a difference between blog.domain and domain.com/blog? And the answer is no. It used to be the case that you would want to host all of your subdomains on your root, because if your subdomain or if your root pulls in links, you're increasing the overall domain authority of your website. However, times have changed, and Google is smart enough to recognize that there are clusters of sites that exist, and they will cluster your subdomain in with your root domain, so it still is one single property. The reason why this happened is because people would manipulate the search results by building what are called like tier 2 websites on WordPress.org or Blogger.com, right? They'd be like, oh, like paydayloans.blogger.com, and that would be a subdomain of Blogger, and then they would like link to their money pages, and there was this whole like little game of like cat and mouse. But Google has reconciled all of that. Any other questions about accounts setting up SEO? All right, so moving on to keyword research. How many people are searching for your keywords, and how are they searching for your keywords? Understanding keywords is the foundation of SEO, right? Because we need to know how people are querying things relating to your product or your service. When I think about SEO, I usually have 5 tactics to come up with kind of all of my keywords that I'm considering. The first is brainstorming, right? It's pretty easy. You create a list of keywords surrounding your product or service that you'd like to target. The second is to analyze current search traffic in Google Search Console. Like I said, they provide you exactly what queries you're getting in the search analytics within Search Console and how you're ranking for them, how many impressions you're getting, and all of that stuff. So we want to get a list of everything that Google is currently ranking you for. Then we want to look at what the competitors are doing, right? This is a tool called SEMrush, and basically you can export all of the organic traffic keywords that they've discovered for all of your competitors. So now we know that this is generally what other people are ranking for. We also want to grab popular search terms from AutoSuggest, right? So Google helps searchers fill out popular queries. There's a tool called Ubersuggest, which is linked here, that actually gives you, if you feed it a seed term, I fed it like cake, it will tell you cake A, and then give you all the keywords for how Google auto-completes A. And then you can do cake B, and it gives you all of B, all of C, all of D. So then we take all of those lists of keywords that we've combined through auto-suggest, through competitor, through brainstorming, and we feed it into AdWords Keyword Planner. And that's where we're getting monthly search volume, right? How many people are searching for exactly these kinds of keywords? Then we want to bucket these keywords by intent, right? So for my example with cakes, we could see that cake supplies was an overarching topic within keyword research. Same with designs, recipes, and decorating. And now you have basically the SEO content topics that you should be going after and targeting, categorized by like intent. So that is keyword research in 5 minutes. Any questions? All right, moving on. So on-site content considerations. These are like content SEO factors that you can control on your website. Like I said, SEO has been evolving significantly. So it's not so much about the specific topic that you're talking about, but how to match searcher intent with content relevance. I will go over that more in the next slides. And then user engagement metrics, right? There's this thing called dwell time, but in our analytics, like Google Analytics, we can think of it as bounce rate and average time on site, right? If someone lands on your website and they're staying longer than your competitor, then you have more positive user engagement metrics to rank in SEO than your competitor. So searcher intent and content relevance. As you know, Google has been diversifying the class of results in their SERPs, right? So for this particular query, how to play guitar, we actually have, how to play guitar lessons, YouTube videos within that, free video lessons, free guitar lessons. So how do we craft the type of content that will rank in Google for search? And the short answer is by copying what is already working, right? If we wanted to create a guide to target how to play guitar, it would be pretty stupid to create like a blog post when clearly Google, for the first 6 results, is preferring video, content, images, free guitar lessons, right? So to make this point even more clear, this is a San Francisco food delivery search, right? So number 1, we have Grubhub. Number 2, we have Seamless. Number 3 is Caviar. And number 4 is Eat24. So the first result is Grubhub. It looks like this, right? People, they like get people to fill in where they're going to deliver. And then there's a list of restaurants at the bottom. Number 2, Seamless. So there's a search bar up front and a list of restaurants at the bottom. Number 3, Caviar. So there's not a search bar up front, but there's still a list of, like browsable restaurants that people can deliver, but there is still a search functionality. And with number 4, Eat24, there's still a search functionality, and then they give you kind of like overarching categories and neighborhoods where food is being delivered. So that's results number 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? Google is smart enough now to be clustering results in terms of relevance and intent. So how I would think about designing content for Google is by performing a keyword, like a search for the keyword that you're targeting. So for this, I searched freight forwarder. And you can see that the first result is informational. The second is informational. Number 3 and number 6 are directories. Number 5 is also informational. And number 4 is a combination of explaining what the term is plus a business. So how you would want to target your keyword here is by providing like, what does a freight forwarder do, right? Answering the informational content, creating a piece of content around that, and then maybe talking a little bit about your business. If you have a directory, if you're a marketplace, then that'd be perfect because then you could put the best, freight forwarders in San Francisco and make that into an informational list, and you'll probably get to ranking, right? Because these are the types of, results that Google is already showing. So, user engagement metrics. The longer that someone stays on your site before bouncing back to the search engine results page, which is the page of results that Google gives, the better it is for your site, because Google is using machine learning to figure out, how long everyone is staying on every single page and how that's affecting their rankings. Yeah, it can be gamed. Like, people in the past would do, like, if you click in, then they do a JavaScript like 301 so that you have to like double click back because it keeps pushing you forward. But Google is smart enough to realize that you're doing that. So it can be gamed, but I am usually against gaming Google because Google is a like $500 billion company and they hire the smartest scientists and engineers. And if you do find a loophole, they'll probably close it like pretty soon. So when it comes to increasing user engagement metrics, like it really depends on your product, your service, what you're talking about. Here I offer a few examples. Hero images above the fold have been making a crazy play into SEO. I'm not sure if it's causation or correlation, as in because hero images caused positive user engagement, that they're ranking them first, or the other way around. Video sometimes serves the searcher better, well-formatted, readable text, and relevant content, right? This depends on your industry. It depends on the query. For Yelp, that's reviews, right? For Pinterest, that's photos. For Zillow, it's unique data about the market. So just to drive the point home with hero images, here's a search for hiking gear. Result number 1 is REI. Notice this big, great hero image. Result number 2 is backcountry. Also the same. And result number 3 is Amazon. They're getting into the whole hero image thing too. So content relevance is how you should be thinking about your content in terms of SEO. Yes, we have a question in the back. Like this one? Right. Well, I mean, I wish I could tell you, but it's probably a combination of other user engagement metrics besides the photo, right? Like what's the click-through rate on number 1 versus number 2 versus number 3, right? And how many people are bouncing back to the SERPs? What are they doing after the SERPs, right? Each one is graded and then each one is like tried differently. Yeah. Yeah. So they've overlaid the text with HTML on top of the image. So it comes in as text. Yeah. Okay, so the stars, the question is, where do the stars come from with result number 2? And that comes from what's called schema, or rich structured data. I can go into that more, but it's basically a way that you mark up your code on your website such that Google gives you these ratings, right? So Yelp obviously has a ton of these, and people can implement them, but you need to have the data, the unique data and reviews to back that up. It's called schema. Yeah, like structured, rich data. Yes. Yeah, so it's a tool called Keyword Keg. Yeah, and basically whenever I do a query, I get the volume and the CPC. And for like the related searches at the bottom, it also gives relate like the monthly search volumes. Yes. Yes, they're unrelated. They're part of structured like markup language. So, top on-site technical considerations. Technical SEO used to be, header tags, title tags, all this stuff. It's becoming a lot less relevant because Google is able to crawl a lot more and understand a lot more of your website. That being said, I've brought up the 5 top technical considerations that still are relevant in my opinion. The number 1 is crawlability. Number 2 is still title tags. Number 3 is meta descriptions. Number 4 is internal linking. And number 5 is mobile friendliness. So to identify on-site technical issues, you can do 2 things, like 2 easy things. You can crawl your website. For crawling your website, I recommend Screaming Frog SEO. And for HTML improvements and server errors, Search Console will tell you those things. So crawling your site, right? This is Screaming Frog. Basically, you put in the URL what your website is, and it will tell you all of the URLs that you have on your page, what the page titles are, what the meta descriptions, if you have duplicate header tags, whatever. And in Search Console, under the tab HTML improvements, it will tell you duplicate meta descriptions, missing title tags, or general HTML improvements. So back to crawlability. If Googlebot can't see it, it's not being crawled. You're not going to show up in the SERPs. Title tags. These are pretty basic as well. How do basically the title tags are used as the title of your content in the SERPs, right? And how you want to do title tags is make sure that your title tags are not missing, they're unique, and they're interesting. Generally, calls to action in title tags are better, but it depends. They're greater than 30 characters, they're less than 65 characters, or 512 pixels. So the consideration of pixels is if you have capital W's for like your entire title tag, that's going to fill up 512 pixels a lot faster than 65 characters. Google is also experimenting with 600 pixel title tags. Make sure your title tags are relevant to the content and not infringing on trademark names. So as I was looking through companies that I'm DPOCing, I noticed that StatsBot has a title tag that has Google Analytics and Mixpanel and Slack in the title tag, but it's not being respected by Google, right? It's not showing up if I type StatsBot or Google Analytics Slack. Okay. Right. Unfortunately, okay, so the question is there any way of telling Google to respect a trademark or to differentiate your business from a trademark? Is that correct? And yeah, unfortunately, there's no way of telling Google, like, hey, this is actually a legitimate term, like, give me credibility for ranking it. Google will just kind of block you from trademarks. Yes. Yeah. Okay. No, there is no guidelines on that. That's like the old SEO where you would think about keyword density and keyword like occurrence. But if you can conclude the searcher's like intent with 5 words, then 5 words will do it. Chances are that you can't though. Um, and then if you can do it in like 26 words or some amount of words, Google's taking those like the knowledge graph, like when you search weather, like it'll just give you like the weather forecast. So Google is already taking things that can be answered under like 200 words and filling it into the search results. So you don't even have to click into a results page. Generally, though, as a rule of thumb, that being said, 200 words of unique content per page is what I would recommend. But that's not like a hard rule. Yes. Okay. Okay. Well, I mean, it's problematic from like a ranking perspective, but they're not gonna like come after you. The question is, they use trademark names because they partner with companies, and is that a bad thing? And the answer is that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just that those trademarked like companies will probably get scrubbed from, like your search results. It's not going to be like Google's going to go, "Oh, okay, you're using trademark stuff. I'm going to penalize you." No, it won't hurt the rankings. It just won't help. Right. Yeah. Yeah, like what the affiliate marketers are doing. So the question is, for queries like when people are searching Kissmetrics versus Mixpanel, and you have like a Tumblr blog or something come up, like what's the deal with those and what's happening? So affiliate marketers oftentimes like will be playing these games where they're trying to rank reviews of software or whatever with their referral links in the content, and it's something you can do, but they're most likely engaging in a ton of black hat shady SEO, whether they're buying links or doing a lot of content spamming, or not content, comment spamming. Like there's a ton of black to gray hat ways. I think that it's unsustainable, but if you wanted to say go after the analytics space and you have a Kissmetrics competitor, writing like a piece of content that's like alternative, A/B testing tools or alternatives to blah would be the better way of thinking about approaching content like that. Yes, in the back. So the question is, they've been doing a lot of old SEO, tagging, title tags, H1s. So the answer is, it actually doesn't really matter. Like unless you've been buying links or duplicating content, which are like two big no-nos in Google's eyes, like Google has already auto-optimized your site for you, despite you optimizing it, right? I'm gonna go forward here and see. Like this is a screenshot of Search Console HTML improvements, and missing meta descriptions is not even a problem because Google is taking your meta descriptions as suggestions already, right? Oftentimes, like if I Googled like Slackbot or StatsBot, Google Analytics, they're ignoring what StatsBot's meta description already is, and they're putting whatever they think is going to drive the highest click-through rate already. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. Yes, up here. It is so minor, but it is a thing, right? And the question is HTTP versus HTTPS, right? You have the SSL encryption, and Google, I think, has come out and publicly stated that HTTPS is a ranking factor, and the reason why it is because it's just one more barrier that a spammer would have to do to trick Google into kind of giving it better ranking. So in SSL, like making your site HTTPS will help in SEO, but I believe it's like pretty negligible. Yeah. All right, over there. So the question is, they have a website that operates where they give users the ability to create shops on subdomains. Is this hurting or helping their SEO? And it really depends on what is happening with those shops. We can talk later. It gets kind of crazy. Yeah, because it's like there could be duplicate content. You know, if you have a shop page on a subdomain and the same content exists across 3 shops on different subdomains, then that's bad. You know, like it depends on how much effort these users are putting into each subdomain. You know, like there could be a play where we're de-indexing or removing from Googlebot, like the search index, pages that have less than X amount of listings, right? Something that Trulia does. Trulia is a home data aggregator. And if they don't have a certain amount of listings in an area code for homes for sale, then the page automatically gets de-indexed. So there's a lot of ways to figuring out that kind of stuff. Yes? So the question is, if you're a marketplace and you could get all of your suppliers to link back to you, would that make a difference? And the answer is yes, it would. It's a rather significant difference. So Thumbtack is the notoriously known for basically doing that, and their SEO has been on the rise. So if you can do that in a way that also doesn't get you punished, because Thumbtack got slapped on the wrist by Google saying stop that, then you should do that. So Thumbtack implements like basically a vendor like badge program that's like best plumbers in San Jose, and then they email out all of the plumbers in San Jose, and they're like, hey, you're one of our best plumbers in San Jose. You wanna link to this page? And the plumbers are like, yeah, give me like a badge. And then they put it on their like website. They're like, named the best plumber in San Jose 2016. And that's part of the backlink building tactics that we'll get into briefly at the end. ZocDoc has a tactic, yeah. Houzz has a widget building tactic. Mixpanel has a partner badge tactic. Everyone has kind of crazy backlink building schemes and tactics. I call them like creative endeavors because it depends, right? Like Thumbtack strategy's probably not gonna work for everyone. Yes. So when it comes to, the question is, I'm using a tool like Unbounce or Optimizely. Does that affect SEO? And the answer is no, because Googlebot will hit the CDN and will be served one consistent version. The Unbounce experience is using JavaScript or client-side rendering to change the experience. So it doesn't affect SEO, but it indirectly affects SEO because if you drive higher conversions on your website, then your user engagement goes up, and that affects SEO. I had a few more questions. Okay, yes. Okay, so the question is, of all of these backlink building tactics, like what Houzz did, what Thumbtack did, what Rap Genius did, how did Google slap them down? And so there's two main ways of penalties. There's an algorithmic penalty, which is why you keep hearing of animals in Google News, right? You have Panda and Penguin. So Panda is an algorithmic update designed to punish people with bad content. Penguin is an algorithmic update designed to punish people with bad backlinks. So when it came to those three in particular, there's something that's called a manual web spam penalty. And this is basically Google's algorithms detecting something unnatural happening, right? Maybe your link velocity is way over the roof, right? You're normally getting 10 links per month, and all of a sudden you go up to 5,000 links, right? That'll flag in their system for manual review, in which case someone will go and look specifically at what is going on with your site, right? And then they can apply what's called like a manual penalty that says, yeah, you're doing something that tripped our wire, and we're going to punish you. There's two types of manual penalties. There's site-wide and there's partial. So the reason why there's a partial is because if I were a small business owner on Yelp and I decided that I wanted to do black hat SEO to get my restaurant listing up #1 for Thai restaurant in San Francisco, and I bought a bunch of black links, I did a bunch of black hat stuff to my listing page, it would be incorrect for Google to punish Yelp as being the person doing black hat SEO. So a partial says, we've noticed some crazy stuff happening. We're going to devalue all of that crazy stuff. A site-wide is, we've noticed something crazy happening, and we're just going to take you off the index. So if you Google the brand name, the company name, nothing's going to exist. That's why you don't screw with Google. So, moving on, title tags. This is a pro tip when I was the growth hacker at 42 Floors. Basically, we quantified our title tags using AdWords. So, I was running an experiment where we were bidding on keywords like office space. And we were ranking, I mean, we weren't ranking. I tried 2,000 plus office rentals on one site, affordable and flexible office leases, and the other is thousands of office leases on one site, see real photos of listings. The first one performed better by about 50%, and you could basically kind of translate that to, okay, if you're testing title tags through AdWords, you're getting objective feedback on how you can increase the click-through rates of your title tags without having to guess, right? So I know that affordable and flexible office leases is better than seeing real photos of listings, right? And this is a way to optimize title tags for head terms that you really want to double down for. Meta descriptions are used as the little snippet below your title tag, and they're suggestions. So in the past, Google would take exactly what your meta description was and slot it in. Now, not the case. But that being said, making sure that your meta descriptions are unique and interesting, less than 160 characters, and relevant to the content is still important because they show up in the SERPs. So when we look at Wikipedia, they don't actually have any meta descriptions in their source code. It's a null meta description. So if you have great unique content, you could try just not providing a meta description, right? Because Google has already shown us in the HTML improvements that missing meta descriptions is not a problem, right? They're taking your content on your page and trying it with all the possible combinations, right? If there's a keyword in your piece of content and it's not in your meta description, they'll try to pull it out and bold it in your meta description so it increases the click-through rate. Question? What site? WooRang? I've never heard of that. But yeah, we could chat later. So internal linking, why is this important? Internal linking is like internal votes to the content on your website, right? So if you're pointing more links at your homepage or different pages on your site, these are shown in Search Console and they track it, right? They know how many links are going to whatever the pages are on your website. So the more important ones have more links. So when it comes to internal linking, make sure all of your pages are internally linked in your website and make sure your most important pages get more links than your not important pages. Also, special contextual links like homepage within blog posts and navbar are ways that you can point like internal link juice to pieces of important content on your website. So some quick hacks. This is Palbox. They link in their navbar to HIPAA compliant email, which is like the exact keyword that is driving like 70% of their business right now. And just sticking a link in the navbar is a quick and easy hack to pointing to content on your site that you want to rank. TripAdvisor is also utilizing the same tactics, right? They're saying, okay, we want to target these popular destinations on all of not all of the pages, but on our homepage, we want to point the links there. User sitemaps are another way to get complete coverage of your website. This is a screenshot of RetailMeNot, and it's basically a crap ton of links because they want to make sure that all of their pages are internally linked. Why mobile friendliness? This one's pretty straightforward. Google has a separate index now for mobile queries. So in the past, desktop queries and mobile queries were merged into the same index. But as of a few months ago, there was this thing called Mobile Get-in. And now mobile-friendly websites are within the mobile index. So the quick and easy way to test this, they offer a mobile-friendly testing tool. You just stick in your URL, and then it'll tell you if you're mobile-friendly or not. Yeah. Yeah, so Google is experimenting. The question is, how does native mobile apps and responsive apps fit in? Google is trying to merge the two with app indexing and contextual deep linking. But right now, a mobile app is still sandboxed, right? If you have content in a mobile app, Google is not indexing it. It's not seeing the content there. And the advantage in having, a responsive website is that all of your content is definitely surfaced to Google. Yes, so it picks up content from the App Store and Google Play, but that doesn't mean it can go inside your app. There is app indexing, which you can add your package for Android apps to Search Console. So it's beginning to come into fruition, but I haven't seen personally any use cases where like mobile stuff is being pulled out of an app and being displayed in the search results. So, off-site SEO hacks. This is mainly concerning links, citations, and more links. So, I can't give an SEO presentation without link advice. This is basically how Black Hat SEO used to, it still kind of looks this way. They're like, here, we'll give you tier 1 EDU links. This is like the good stuff, right? But it's a lot harder to game now. And the reason why you want backlinks is because they're external link votes to your website. If the New York Times links to you, it's a citation, it's a link. It's like, yes, I trust this site. Citations are, they establish credibility and they're more important for local business. So you've been noticing if you've been searching for like chiropractor or plumbing that more local results are showing up. Citations are basically like links from business directories that are like, yeah, this business is located in San Jose. Yeah, this business does have a local phone number. So that's how those play. Generally speaking, these are some ways of grabbing backlinks. You should ask your batchmates. You could do like some sort of link trading or something. So yeah, PR. Hustle journalists and or do new and noteworthy things. This is a startup, WePay. They literally dropped 600 pounds of ice, like frozen money. Like there's like actual like dollar bills in there in front of PayPal conference just to make the point that we don't freeze your money. It's a cool growth hack. Citations, right? This is getting businesses on local directories like Bing, Foursquare, Infogroup. If you want citations, moz.com/local has like an $80 offering where they will syndicate your business data to all of these business directories. Bloggers, I mean, this is back to cold outreach. You hustle bloggers in your industry for link placement. So this is someone reaching out to me saying, hey, I just came across like your blog post. Can you include my link? And that's generally how hustling bloggers looks. Sometimes sometimes you can trade, right? I guest post on your blog, you guest post on mine. Sometimes hustling bloggers leads to sponsored content, right? I'm like, hey, you know, how much have you been charging? And she's like, I do $700 for an average post, and this gets you this, this, and this. So you can pay money. And then creative endeavors, right? This is Mixpanel doing their partner badge program where they got a crap ton of links embedded on the footers of tons of websites linking back to Mixpanel. They were targeting the term mobile analytics. That's been done. Like if you check the source code of what like their widget creator makes now, there's a no follow. But yeah. Question. So the question is posting in comments of blogs, forums, Quora, and the answer is yes, that does help your SEO. But, you know, it's not necessarily about the quantity of it now. It's kind of more about the quality of it and the diversity, right? If Google looks at your backlink profile and they go, well, you know, there's 1,000 forum links here and 10 like not forum links, then they're gonna just discount the value of forum links. But if it's like looking at it and it's like, oh, okay, there's a natural blend, then yeah, it'll help. Question. 2 questions, sure. Of course. Did Mixpanel get slapped the same way Thumbtack did? Yes. Yes, they did. So the other question is old SEO. Does it make sense to have a list of keywords in your content, and does that still work? And the answer is yes, that does still work, but from a content relevance standpoint, right? It's like if you're searching for Hillary Clinton, it would be smart to include presidential election and all these other things because Google realizes co-occurrence-wise, most content surrounding Hillary has these types of keywords related. So it's more of the sense that old SEO to quality content is it's like, it's the play. I wouldn't worry too much about like the count of keywords, right? Like mentioning Hillary Clinton 50 times that doesn't matter, right? But mentioning Hillary Clinton without Bill Clinton, that probably does matter. Which is why when we go back to the bucketing of keywords, here, it's like, yeah, if people are searching for recipes, like, like including eggs or recipes for kids, these are like robust pieces of content because they're all related within like the topic. Question. So the question is, if subdomains are being created off of root domains, is there any link juice lost in the subdomain creation? And my hypothesis is no, not anymore. It used to be, yeah, you want to put everything on the root domain, even if you're doing a mask of a WordPress install on your Ruby on Rails app so that you can have like /blog instead of blog dot, but not anymore. That's like older SEO. Yes, we have a question here. Good question. The question is, in Google Analytics, you don't see the search queries because it's all not set. And that's why you set up Search Console, because these are all of the queries that are not set. They give them to you in Search Console. Yes, question in the back. So the question is it better to split content between many different pages or to consolidate them all in one place? And the answer is it depends. If you have quality content that can cover the splitting of, like content so that you have beautiful content about food delivery Thai food and food delivery Chinese and food delivery Indian, then you should totally do it. But if you don't, then you should merge them all into like one piece of content. So it really depends on if Google is already liking your content, right? We would go into Search Console, see if those pages are ranking for the keywords that you want to be ranking for. And if they're not, then we can like think about consolidating all of them into one piece. You had another question. Yes, so the question is, if you do a domain change, a top-level domain change, how much does that affect your SEO? And the answer is significantly. There is a way to do it within Search Console, and I have done it before with other web properties. You will generally see a 60 to 70% decrease in search engine traffic initially, and then as Google slowly figures everything out, you'll slowly recoup that. But Google can't just off the bat give you all of the juice that you used to have for your old domain, because black hat SEOers use this tactic where domains expire. So I used to buy expired domains when they dropped off, because there's like this list called like fresh drop where you could see them, and I'd be like, oh, this is like a DA like 35 in, you know, office in commercial space. I just buy it, and then I just like 301 everything to my website, and I'm like, yeah, this is now mine. And so they can't just give you all of that juice, which is why you suffer an initial pretty big penalty, and then you slowly recuperate it after like 6 months, 9 months. I mean, can you get some kind of juice is the question, and it's like, I don't know. It could be harmful juice. Something that I didn't cover is negative SEO. Sometimes, you know, shadier people will attack you with negative SEO. They will buy comment spam, bad backlinks with really rich anchor tags and point them at your website to try to get you penalized. So that's something to consider within SEO. It's also something that you could possibly do to competitors. But, you know, moral qualms aside, these are all tactics. Yes? Totally. I mean, you know, with partners, like, just ask them for like guest blog posts, you know, like if they're writing a piece of content around, I don't know what your product or service is, but it's like, yeah, you know, like you can get them to review your product or service. You can get them to write something and then, you know, like drop the anchor tag of like, if I'm doing HIPAA compliant email, I can be like, yeah, like just link to me with HIPAA compliant email, right? So there's, exactly, yeah. No, it's all good.